We met in the most ordinary way, which made it feel all the more extraordinary. It was a late summer barbecue at a mutual friend's place. The smell of grilled burgers, the hum of quiet conversation, and there she was, Jess, tall, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, her laugh carrying across the yard like it had its own gravity. I was 35, working in construction management, doing well enough to have my own place, my truck, and a dog named Max. She was 32, a yoga instructor with big dreams of opening her own studio one day. It felt easy, like we just fit. Our first date was a casual walk through the farmer's market. We grabbed coffee, shared a bag of warm roasted almonds, and talked about everything. Her love for art, my passion for rebuilding old cars, the books we were reading, and how she hated cilantro in her guacamole. It was light and hopeful. The way new love feels when you think you're both finally getting it right after a string of bad relationships. A year in, she moved into my place. Her plants filled the windowsills. Her yoga mats and candles slowly took over the living room. And I didn't mind one bit. We'd make Sunday morning pancakes together, laugh over burnt edges, and dance barefoot in the kitchen when a good song came on the radio. I covered most of the bills, my house, my car, my utilities. Jess had her classes, but they were sporadic, and she always talked about needing to invest in certifications and workshops. I didn't blink when I paid for those. She was building something, I told myself. I believed in her. We talked about the future, kids, maybe a dog for Max to play with. I started putting money aside for an engagement ring. I even caught myself Googling best places for a proposal in the mountains late at night. She'd talk about baby names sometimes, and we'd dream about a little cabin where she could teach yoga on weekends. I supported her in ways I thought a partner should, emotionally, financially, and in the small, daily acts that make a home feel like a home. Looking back, there were moments I missed, little shifts in tone or distance in her eyes when I asked about her day, but I brushed them off. I was all in, and I thought she was too. The house we were building in our minds, Jess and me, side by side, felt solid, and I was ready to make it official, or so I thought. It happened on a random Wednesday. I remember the exact moment because it felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I was working late, wrapping up some plans for a new project, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jess, just a simple, cold line that didn't even sound like her. I need to tell you something. I'm leaving, I'm pregnant, and it's not yours. I stared at the screen, unable to process the words. The world around me blurred. The sound of the computer fan, the hum of the overhead lights, even Max's quiet breathing by my feet. All of it faded into static. My hands trembled as I read it again, hoping I had misread, that some twisted autocorrect had changed the meaning, that this was some sick joke. But no, the words were still there, sharp and final. I called her immediately, my fingers numb, heart racing, and when she answered, her voice was cold, hollow, like she had rehearsed this. I'm sorry, James. I've been seeing someone else for a while. It's my trainer, Adam. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did, and I'm keeping the baby. I can't do this with you anymore. I remember the silence that followed, a pause where the world seemed to tilt, and I was left standing in a reality I didn't recognize. My tongue felt heavy, like it had forgotten how to form words. I managed to choke out, "You're serious?" "Yes, I'm sorry," she repeated, but her voice was flat, as if she was just checking a box on some terrible to-do list. That's when the emptiness hit me, like the floor had fallen away, and I was free falling into a black void with nothing to grab onto. My mind raced in 1,000 directions. Was it something I did? Was I not enough? How long had this been going on? Was our entire relationship a lie? I felt the heat rise in my chest, my hands clenching into fists, not out of anger but from sheer disbelief. The woman I was going to propose to, the woman I had built a life with, was carrying another man's child. And the worst part? She didn't even sound sorry. It was like she had already moved on, already decided that I was just a chapter in her story, one she was closing without a second thought. I sat there for hours, phone in my lap, staring at the wall as the minutes ticked by. The silence in the house was deafening, the weight of betrayal sinking in like a stone dropped in deep water. I felt numb, betrayed, broken in a way I didn't know was possible. And the question that kept looping in my mind was simple but unbearable. How could she do this to me? I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't beg her to stay. After the call ended, I just sat there, my mind a quiet, dark ocean. There was no need for drama, just clarity. The next morning, I started tying up the loose ends of our life together, piece by piece. First, I canceled the venue for the wedding we had planned for next fall. Then I called the jeweler, told him to hold off on the ring I had almost bought. The down payment on her car, the one I had co-signed, gone. I called the dealer and transferred it back. The gym membership I had been paying for, canceled. The streaming accounts, the shared passwords, changed. I even blocked her number, her email, and all her social media. She could find another man to fund her yoga dream and her prenatal vitamins. It wasn't out of spite. It was about boundaries, about self-respect. I realized in those quiet hours that I had been giving too much of myself, hoping to build something solid, but I had been building it alone. And now, I wasn't going to let her drag me down into the mess she had created. This wasn't weakness. This was strength, cold, calculated strength, the kind that comes when you finally see the truth and refuse to let it break you. It was 2 days later when I heard the knock on my door, soft, hesitant, like she already knew the answer. I opened it just enough to see her standing there. Jess, in tears, eyes red and puffy, clutching a small bag like a child who'd run away from home, and realized too late they had nowhere to go. "Please," she whispered, voice shaking. "He doesn't want me, Adam. He said he wasn't ready for a family. He kicked me out." Her breath hitched, and she looked at me with a desperation I'd never seen before. "I made a mistake. Please, let's just talk. I can't do this without you." I stood in the doorway, silent. There was no anger in me, just this cold, hollow clarity, like looking at someone through glass. There, but unreachable. "James, please," she begged, voice cracking. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "You chose this," I said, my voice low and steady. "You made your decision. Now live with it." Her tears kept coming, hands trembling as she tried to explain, but I didn't care anymore. I had no interest in fixing what she had shattered. I didn't know her that. Finally, I closed the door in her face. The sound of her crying on the porch faded as I walked away. That chapter was done. I wasn't her safety net, and I wasn't her backup plan. Not anymore. Sitting alone in the quiet of my house, I stared at the empty space where her yoga mat used to be, where her shoes used to line the entryway. It hit me then. This wasn't just about her cheating. It was about trust, the very foundation of a relationship. Once trust is broken, there's no going back. I kept replaying the little moments in my mind, times when she was distant, when she dismissed my questions with a smile, when her phone lit up late at night and she swore it was just a friend. I wanted to believe her. I chose to believe her. That was on me. But I'm done playing the fool. Her tears at my door were nothing more than desperation, a scramble to escape the consequences of her choices, and I realized, I'm not here to save people who are willing to destroy me. Boundaries matter. They protect you from the people who say they love you but treat you like an option. I see it now, clearer than ever. Love without respect is a cage, and I refuse to be trapped in it again. I'll never beg someone to stay, and I'll never let someone else's betrayal make me doubt my own worth. This wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the start of a lesson I'll carry for the rest of my life. The weeks after Jess left felt strange at first, quiet, empty, but slowly, that silence turned into something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I focused on my work, threw myself into projects I'd been putting off, and started waking up early for runs with Max, feeling my body strengthen as my mind cleared. I reconnected with old friends, picked up new hobbies, things I had shelved for her dreams, her needs. I built a new routine. My house felt lighter, my life sharper. I wasn't patching up someone else's mess or sacrificing my time for someone who didn't value it. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't a supporting character in someone else's story. I was the author of my own Jess. I heard bits and pieces through mutual friends. Adam wasn't ready for the family life she had imagined, and when her savings ran dry, he bailed. She tried to get her old clients back, but the whispers about her choices followed her, last I heard. She was bouncing between couches, jobless and alone. It's strange how the tables turn, but I didn't gloat. I didn't reach out. I let her sit in the reality she had created while I built mine stronger. She wanted a new chapter without me. Now I was living one, too, without her. This whole mess taught me the hardest, but most important lesson. Love without respect is a slow poison. It starts sweet, soft words, warm touches. But if there's no trust, No honesty, it's all just a pretty trap. I learned to see the red flags, the subtle shifts, the moments where my gut whispered, this isn't right, and next time, I'll listen. I also learned that walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. Letting go of someone who treats you like an option is the only way to reclaim your power. Never settle for being someone's safety net or backup plan. Love should build you up, not break you down. Looking back, I realize I wasted too much time trying to be the man she wanted, steady, supportive, always there. But in the end, none of that mattered, because you can't make someone stay who's already halfway out the door. I don't regret loving her. I regret ignoring the signs that she didn't love me the same way. From now on, I'll never beg for a place in someone's life, because the truth is simple. Not everyone who says, I love you, deserves to stay in your heart, and I will never let anyone treat me like an option again.